It's easy to go out and do the wrong thing just to get by another day, but to rely on the Lord and stay faithful, that's a different matter. To trust God through whatever adversity comes your way, that's entirely different from how most of the world reacts to these kind of things. You may have your health problems. That can be a big test, not knowing what's going to be the outcome. You know, what are the doctors going to find? What are the doctors going to do? Again, we have to trust in the Lord in these kind of matters. We may be betrayed by a friend, by a family member, just like Joseph. Joseph got betrayed all the time by the people who seemingly were closest to him. And yet he stood the test. And so, while he was in prison, the captain of the guard showed Joseph mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And that keeper of the prison gave into Joseph's hand the care of all the prisoners in that prison. So even in difficult situations, people saw the character of Joseph, the Spirit of God with him, the nature he had, the fact that even if he was betrayed, he would not betray another, the fact that he was very trustworthy, the fact that Joseph seemed to have a good spirit about him. In the worst of his situations, Joseph made the best. And in prison, he was the best prisoner there. And he was a model person. And therefore, the keeper put everything in Joseph's hands. Everything. That would be Joseph's second testimony. Even here I am in bonds and in shackles, God is still working in my life. Even though I have no prospect of a future, God daily looking after me. He had his test, but he was able to give his testimony. That's Joseph's second testimony. Wasn't long after that, a few years, he met the baker and the butler, and they forgot about him. He interpreted dreams for both of them. One died and one went back and was restored to the king. But the butler never remembered to tell the king anything about Joseph. And so he remained in prison even another 2 years after the butler had spoken with him. But one day the Pharaoh over Egypt had a dream. And he spoke with all the magicians of the land. Nobody could interpret his dream. But the butler remembered that day a man he'd met in prison, Joseph, who could interpret dreams. He had interpreted his dream. And so Joseph was brought out of the prison, shaved, cleaned up, given new garments, and brought before the king. And Joseph told the king, "It is not me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace." That's in Genesis 41:16. God shall give you the answer, he told Pharaoh. He didn't take any glory for this himself. And he interpreted the dream for Pharaoh about how Egypt would have 7 years of prosperity and go into 7 years of great famine, and how they needed to put food and grain in the storehouses so that when the famine came, they would not starve a grievous starvation. What did Pharaoh do with Joseph? He put him in charge of the entire land of Egypt. Not one man was to lift his foot without permission of Joseph anywhere in the land of Egypt. He caused him to ride in Pharaoh's own chariot He gave him authority over all things. Nothing was done in Egypt without Joseph's authority. That would be Joseph's third testimony. How the Lord came through for him when things were so bleak and so troubling. And God always came through. And then, lo and behold, his brothers show up on the scene during the famine. And they don't even recognize him. He's just this incredible man in charge of Egypt. They probably were not even allowed to lift their eyes and look him directly in the face. And I'm sure he'd aged and changed by then. They could not imagine for a moment that this was their brother. And it was his opportunity to exact fatal and final revenge on his brethren. He had the power to cast them in prison. He even set them up that he was able to do that. He could hold their life in his hand. But what did Joseph do? Joseph always did the right thing. And this is how it must be. Not only when we are tested in life, not only when we go through trials, must we always do the right thing. But even when we are blessed, and even when we have a testimony, we must always keep our feet on the ground. Paul said, I know how to be abased, and I know how to abound. Let us know how to live any kind of lifestyle. Let us know how to prosper. Let us know how to live with nothing. But always in the Lord. Always in the Lord. You know, Sister Janice there, she had her trials. She's been through a lot. Yet there she was for her own mother, restoring her to health. Always doing the right thing. These things for us just seem so normal, so easy, that we almost don't even think for a moment of what's done. You know, and there, all the family is, you know, Rachel, Kent, everybody, all the sisters, and all their extended family, wives, children, always there. It's just the way we are. We take care of our own. So, 1 Peter, turn with me there. Look at chapter 4, 1 Peter. We're going to pick up in verse 12. 1 Peter 4:12. Beloved. I like what Peter calls us. Beloved. That's who you are. You're beloved of God. You're very, very special in his eyes. Each and every one here. And he says, think it not strange. Think it not strange. Think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you. So if something is going to come upon you, and it will, think it not strange. It is life. It is normal. If God allows the world to test us, big deal. Think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. This is normal. We're going to go through trials. We're going to go through tests. It's part of life. What should we do? What should we do? Just read on. But rejoice, inasmuch as ye are partakers of Christ's sufferings. Jesus came, and he took on every kind of test known to man. And he suffered every kind of persecution. Even his own disciples fled from him in his darkest hour. And he was left all alone. It appeared as though even the Father had withdrawn from him at that moment.